Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, evening on the East Coast, anyway. Afternoon here on the West Coast. I'm Chris Davis alongside Kellen McClurg. Say hi.
How's it going?
Video, That's Todd Mintz down there on the far end.
Good to be with everybody for this big final week 20 of the Arena Football League season.
And, we're just going to be here talking about all the games that are going on in the Arena Football League this week. Live from the press box here in beautiful Honda Center in Anaheim, California. So what do you say, boys? Let's take a look. First game right out of the box, Tampa and Orlando.
Oh, goodness. The Storm coming off beating Los Angeles last week, Chris. Obviously, as we know, LA had problems in that game in regards to time management towards the end of the game.
Just that game?
Last Saturday, at least. But
like I said, just that game?
But just that game. But anyway, Tampa comes in right now 8th in the AFL power rankings at 7-10 or no. They've won one game and they're 1-3 in their last 4 played. So they've made some sort of stride to get back on track. In regards with Orlando, this is a team that's been a perennial powerhouse in the AFL for quite some time as a whole franchise history. 5th right now, 11-6 overall, trying to get, still playing good football in general. 4-0, though, in their past 4 games. So, they're really, this is, a game that they're going to look at going forward. It's a lesser opponent that they're playing on the schedule and a chance for them to really improve on what they've done so far this year. What do you think, Todd?
Thanks, you. As far as the Orlando-Tampa Bay rivalry, ladies and gentlemen, is concerned, that is a rivalry that you could throw out the records. These teams.
Hey, that was what I was going to say.
These teams are in exact opposite directions. Now, contrary to what Callan says, as someone who watches most of these games, I can tell you with respect, the Tampa Bay Storm have been playing, let's just say, very poor football. This is a team that had lost 5 consecutive games until they got some help last week on the clock management issue from the KISS, when Tampa Bay would end up scoring finally with 15 seconds left in the game on a touchdown pass from Boltis to Tolliver in the 38-34 victory over the KISS. But up until then, guys, Tampa lost 5 consecutive games. Again, their reputation over the last few years is they fade at the end of the season. It happened a couple of years ago when Adrian McPherson, who was playing at an MVP level, got hurt at quarterback, and they went right down the drain and right down the tubes and got B in the playoffs. But in a game like this week, you could throw out the records, obviously, but Orlando right now is playing top-notch football. Tampa Bay has struggled to score points all year, although they certainly have a very respectable defensive football team. Offensively, it is always a challenge with a very erratic quarterback. Your thoughts?
Well, it is the final edition of the War on I-4 this year, and frankly, when you look at the history of the games, it's really one of those truly, like I was going to say, throw the records out the door. This will be the 58th time these two teams have met. The previous 57 have gone 30-27 in favor of Orlando. Yet they've only outscored Tampa by 65 points over the course of those 57 games. So, it's like, come on.
Like the Dodgers and the Cardinals for all those years.
Unfortunately, yes. Now, the sad game as far as I'm concerned, New Orleans and Jayville. Yep. What could possibly be the final game of the beloved Voodoo.
Possibly.
Well, I'm keeping a hopeful mind.
Yeah, Chris, I think when you look at this game, obviously, New Orleans bottom half, or the seller, I should say.
I was going to say, if you, be realistic.
I'd be realistic. I'm trying to be nice, though. But, yes, obviously, 13-1 at the bottom parts, or the bottomless pit of
they're holding everybody up.
Of the AFL right now. Yeah, they're holding up the floorboards right now. They're holding everyone up. But I think, though, that, Chris, when you look at this entire thing with New Orleans, and I think that this is with any team, any sport, when you are informed about relocation or you're going to be folding out of a job, it does perhaps play a bit, in these players' minds that, after the year, they're going to be having to go look for a new place to go. And, of course, the Voodoo at the bottom half. And then Jacksonville, they're 4th in the power rankings right now, 9-8 overall. They're 2-2 in their last 4 play. They dropped 1 game, but for them being in the top 4, and of course they've been very good so far this season, and they're sticking around in what is right now a very, very weak conference and a very weak division right now down in the South.
We apologize, by the way. The LA Kiss dancers are practicing right now, so
yeah, they love us. They're gonna go with their schedule. Let's do the dance.
So what do
This
you
is
think?
live action, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is only live TV. But back to what Callan was saying on this game. This is the rubber game between these two ball clubs. New Orleans in the opening game of the season stunned the Jacksonville Sharks, stunned all of us with a big victory. The Sharks got the second game between these teams. This is the rubber game. For New Orleans, a loss here would officially clinch the worst record, unfortunately, in the league. For a team that has struggled all season to score, that doesn't have a lot of game breakers, that doesn't have a very good offensive line, and the Sharks coming off a terribly disappointing performance against the Orlando Predators with the season on the line for winning that Southern Division and getting that bye. The Sharks in their final home game are going to want to give their 10 to 11,000 fans a statement as they have to play next week these Predators again in the jungle. I look for the Jacksonville Sharks to tear apart Chris Davis's New Orleans Voodoo.
Ouch. I believe that is a pregame throwdown right there. And I want to hear your thoughts seriously on this one. Roger Jackson, the rookie wide receiver for New Orleans, really good guy. 71 balls, 16 touchdowns.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know, I'm just throwing out an idea here. Maybe somebody out here on the West Coast should have been looking at him.
They've been their team this season as far as receiving. And I'm not going to, you know more about him than I do, Chris. I don't watch the Voodoo every game, and it's hard to watch every team, but I've heard of him. And obviously, yeah, he's one of the go-to guys. Yeah, absolutely. The Kiss, when they were having a lot of trouble during the course of the season, until finally, they started getting some step-up performances from Samson to help out Donovan Morgan. We've been screaming and complaining. We haven't had any receivers that can hang on the balls, that have speed, that can take, the pressure off of Donovan to be the main target. I think a lot of teams missed out on this guy, probably Spokane and several others. So I would agree with that, Chris.
Well, I mean, especially when you figure he was, it wasn't a trade. It wasn't anything like that. It was a straight pickup week 3 of the season from Arkansas Tech. I'm not saying that Arkansas Tech doesn't play good football because, I'm just thinking, let's see here. He's good, obviously, because I did look up his college stats. He freaking led the team, okay? Maybe, I don't know. Also, with Jacksonville already clinched, how much time do you think the quarterback's actually going to get down there?
I don't know. I mean, personally, I got a feeling following the Sharks. I followed the Sharks pretty thoroughly the last few years. They were my team before the Kiss came into town. I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy plays a lot tonight because they're going to want to get a message. They want a complete, thorough game and go into the playoffs against Orlando with, at least to their mind, some kind of momentum. Now, what happens next week is a brand new season, but the Sharks have been the biggest flop for all the money that they have allegedly spent. We're not going to start a controversy.
We're not going there.
Everybody knows that they have got a lot of players on their team that, have probably been paid a little extra mooloo to. Everybody knows that. And they are 9-8. They started off 1-4. They have been the biggest flop this season in the Arena League. They had their chance last week, and they went in Orlando, and frankly, they got spanked. Their defense couldn't stop Randy Hipyard whatsoever, and they have no answer for Greg Carr. None of them do. So, honestly, I look for Grady to play a lot tonight, and Grady has had a great year. He actually has had a great year. He's single digits in interceptions. This is not on Tommy Grady, but this has been on a very disappointing defensive football team. They have a lot of names on this team. They have not always produced at high levels, and they're going to want to take it out tonight on the Voodoo guys. I look for the Sharks to win this game by at least 30 points.
And, the other thing is the fact that Jacksonville, and we're getting to picks later on down the show to wrap the things up. So calm down on your picks there, my friend. Jayville, number 2 in the league with the plus 19 turnover margin. So that's definitely not in New Orleans.
Though. Yeah, it's mostly fumbles. I mean, Tommy Grady only has like 9 picks this season, I think.
Okay, but they're still plus 19.
I'm sorry, plus 19.
Plus 19.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. That's not good. That means they're not taking advantage and even scoring. When this team was put together, ladies and gentlemen, at the start of the year, I honestly thought they were going to set records. I went publicly on my post on my Facebook pages and stuff, and I said, hey, this team could score 70 points a game. And even though they're one of the higher scoring teams in the league, I think they're like fourth or whatever, they have not consistently put that kind of effort together, except recently against the Philadelphia Soul in that wild game that they won like 74, I think, to 67, something like that.
Wow, an old-fashioned arena score.
Yeah, like what we were used to growing
exactly.
up as kids. Yeah.
Going on to our next matchup, it's the first of a home-and-home between Philly and Cleveland. This one doesn't really mean much. Next week means a whole heck of a lot more. It's Philly at Cleveland. Dan Radabaugh leads the league with 113 touchdowns. That's 9th on the all-time season list. So, that's actually a really good thing right there. He's nowhere close to being the top guy. Nowhere even close. That would be a
Chris Reeson in Milwaukee.
No, actually, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Any other guesses?
Mark Reeb.
Tommy Grady.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Back in 2012, an absolutely ridiculous 142 touchdown passes.
Good grief.
Are you kidding me? 142. Number 2. Any guesses?
Nick Davila.
Quit looking at the notes.
I'm looking right at you and seeing and people that are looking at us, and there ain't no one watching.
No,
us.
actually, it was Davila last year with 127. Number 3. Come on, you know this one. You know it. I know
Garcia.
you do. Uh-huh.
Okay.
What year?
2002.
Oh, just a decade off. 2012 with the Talons.
Oh, wow. Okay.
118.
Okay, cool.
So, your thoughts, Kellen, on Philly and Cleveland?
Philly, Cleveland first, home and home, you're saying here, obviously the playoff matchup, but also I think, but Chris and Todd, the number though I look at here, Philadelphia with over 1,012 points scored.
Number 1 in the league.
Number 1 in the league, and they're number 2 in the rankings behind San Jose, who we'll see kick off in about 4 hours or so here in Anaheim at 7 o'clock. But obviously the record 14-3, they've won 1. They're 3-1 in their last 4 played, and they've already got that division title already sewn up, and they're ready to go for next week. But I think that Cleveland, I think, is the bigger story, because here you go from being in the Arena Bowl title game last year against Arizona
with the number 1 overall
record last year, where now you're reduced to an 8-9 record, and you're in second place in your division, and 3-5 at home, which is not good, because of course you have that home field advantage. You can't take advantage of it. On the road though, they're road warriors, almost 5-4, so not much else there, and 920 points scored. But Philadelphia, I think they may be the lock perhaps for the American Conference, perhaps for the Arena Bowl this year. That's just my thought.
I'm not so sure about that, Cal, and I'm going to say this is why. And I've talked to Tom Goodines. He was on my podcast, the GM, the great announcer for the Philadelphia Soul.
Quit dropping names.
Why? I'm going to give the guy some credit. He's a good man. I like him. I met him here too. But no, Chris, this is something that, Callan, I think it's really interesting. Yes, the Soul have had an unbelievable year. However, logic still tells me in the first half of the season, the Soul were a better football team than they are now. I don't think they have scored at the pace they had scored at the beginning of the year. I think they were stopped more often than they had been. Defense has started to figure them out a little bit. Defensively, I don't think they're where they are. Right now, they're still a solid team. Believe me, they can get to the Arena Bowl, but I don't think that the Soul are right now playing as well as they did in the first half of the season. I just don't. I think they were a much more dominant team at that time. I think they're very vulnerable, personally. I could see where Orlando or Jacksonville still have the capability of winning. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, the Sharks have beaten the Soul 2 of the Soul's 3 defeats. And that is going to, then the Soul had owned the Sharks. So that's going to come up, a possible factor if these teams meet in the conference finals. Now, for the Gladiators, we all know they were going to have a tough year. They lost defensive coordinator Ron Selesky to Canada. Ron James, I think, has done a good job, but the players, they've lost a lot of players. So bottom line, I think 500 is the best that I expected Cleveland to be this season, but it's a statement game. It's their last home game of the season. They're going to want to finish 500. I like Cleveland to play a good game tonight. I know that. That's what I think they're going to play at a high level, because these teams meet next week. They've got to send the message to Philadelphia.
And that's why I think this is going to be a very boring game, because no one's going to want to show anything. And the other factor going in here is the fact that Cleveland, they had to come down from last year. I mean, give me a break. How many come from behind victories in the last minute did they have last year? Like what, 8? So, I mean, it was ridiculous last year. Don't get me wrong, I was rooting for them all year, especially after that ridiculous one that they came from like 21 points down with 54 seconds left.
Like 50
is
seconds
ridiculous.
left.
Anyways, moving over to the National Conference, we'll go to the leader here in the West, the Rats. They host PDX.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
That's all you got.
For now.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to steal some of your material over here. I mean, that's the problem you have with this laptop right here. Okay, Davis, you and I were at the Snake Pit.
Yes, we were
a few Sundays ago and saw Arizona completely trash Los Angeles again. Sadly, and
for the first half,
exactly.
They
for
did,
the first
yes.
half, they absolutely killed LA. And I'm not going to make any excuses for that because there can't be any excuses. When you fall down 31-zip, you deserve to get your butt
34.
kicked. 34, whatever. It was 30 something.
But in this case though, that was not the same Rattlers team I saw play at home against when they played the Sabercats up at the Shark Tank last week on CBS Sports Network. It was a whole nother dimension of a team that we saw. And yes, I know that they played the Kiss, but it doesn't matter who you play. I mean, you cannot afford to go from having, a good first half in regards to having how they started against the Kiss. And of course, they kind of faltered off towards the end, but then to go up to San Jose and they get absolutely, rolled, and also being held under 30 points. Holding Arizona under 30 points is a miracle. I mean, it happens like once every 10 times you see it happen.
I don't think that's happened since Gene Nudo was coaching. Coaching the Arizona Rattlers, and the day. Oh, he's a great coach. Don't get me wrong, but they were offensively challenged in those days. Oh, there's a lot to this Arizona Rattlers. I have not been sold on this team all season. There's nothing that has told me this team is playing at a playoff level that they have in the last several years. Their offensive line has been, frankly, Nick has been getting more pounded. At last week against the Sabercats, Callan, Arizona led this game 20-7 midway through the second quarter, and they only scored one more touchdown and a field goal the rest of the way. The Sabercats, the number one defense in the Arena Football League, had 7 more stops in this ball game against the Rattlers. A tremendous performance by San Jose. And Eric Meyer was flawless. 8 touchdown passes and no picks. How is anyone going to beat the Sabercats the way they're playing? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, the problem is that we're talking about Arizona and Portland right here. And, face it, Arizona does not need this game. No. Portland needs this game more than anything else.
Portland's desperate tonight. I mean, they're going into a hostile environment, probably the rowdiest arena in the entire AFL.
Oh, I don't know about that.
One of them.
You get San Jose riled up,
but Portland's desperate. I think though this is a game that they realize that they need this game in the standings. I know that they're so far behind everyone else, and that everything's already sewn up in the division. But this is a game that they need for their playoff lives.
I think they have a chance to win this ball game, as strangely enough as it is. Now, in the playoffs last year, Portland just missed beating Arizona. We all know Kyle Rowley threw a pick on the last series of that ball game, but Portland was one play away from pulling off the upset maybe in the history of the Arena Football League that would probably rival the run that the Grand Rapids Rampage had in the playoffs.
Oh my!
A few years ago. But
gotta give you that on that one.
But no, I mean Portland, I think right now is playing a far better level. I think they deserve to be in the playoffs. And based on their last several games, even the close losses, they have played far better than Spokane or Las Vegas. And I like to see Portland go in there and win this ball game and get into the playoffs on their own merits, not needing any help, not needing any shenanigans or underhanded tactics, which if we had a little more time, we would get into.
Let's not go there.
We're not going to go there. But nonetheless, I think Portland's got a real chance of winning this ball game, despite Vegas tonight. So there you go.
And, Portland is, second consecutive win-or-go-home game. And also, while we're talking about individual players, congratulations to Dwayne Brooks. He set the AFL single-season record for kickoff returns. But frankly, I believe that's only because, AJ got called up to the NFL, personally.
They're both very good. Let's be honest. I don't want to take anything away from him, and that has helped Portland with their field position. And it's just it's great to have an exciting player back there. Portland's got a lot of very nice young players. I like watching that team every time I watch them. They're fun to watch.
That's the other thing that's going to be interesting in this game is the fact, as we start to light it up one more time, it's coincidentally enough that we are right across the street from Anaheim Stadium where they use this as pregame.
We're utter professionals, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyways, AJ was, given Arizona great field position. And now that he's gone, Their field position has gone from up here to about here.
It took a major
So,
fall.
Big time. Add on top of that, Arizona might be wanting to give a little message back to San Jose after last week's embarrassing loss up there.
Do you expect any Arizona big guns to play at all tonight?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, think about the roster makeup. Like we were talking with Jacksonville. You only have 4 reserves on the AFL roster. So your starters will be playing and will be playing a big chunk of time. But the question is which of those 4 backups will be getting a lot of time?
I have to say this in all honesty because of the fact that the rather offensive line has been very vulnerable in recent weeks, and Nick has taken a little bit of a beating. I mean, you took a couple hard shots here when they played us here a few weeks ago. I do think that we will see Shane Boyd at some point in this game, maybe even the whole second half, but at least one of the quarters.
See, I'm thinking he's going to come in midway through the second quarter. I seriously think they'll take Nick out midway through the second quarter and save him. You know, it's the smart thing to do. And interesting note, by the way, last week's loss to San Jose,
right?
Arizona's first time since 2007 that they've been held under 30 points. Haha, thank you very much. Now then, moving on to the other desert game. Spokane at Vegas. In this matchup, from what I'm hearing, it's either the field of play or the field of law. What do you got?
Well, I think the power rankings are going to talk about this one. You have the 9th and 10th team, the 9th and 10th ranked teams battling it out tonight in Vegas between the Shock and Outlaws, of course. Spokane 6 and 11, Vegas 5-11 and 1. And of course, Las Vegas has their own internal problems that we will not get to, that we won't address here on this one. But obviously, I think though that at this point, Spokane perhaps needs this one as well going forward. And of course, I think Las Vegas is just trying to right the ship out and see what's going to happen with their immediate future.
Todd, what do you got?
I'll be honest with you. The thing about it is, and we're not going to dwell on it, but I will make one quick comment because we're not going to hide under the rug. Everybody knows there's a possibility that the league owners may not allow the Outlaws in the playoffs if they win the game. That will be determined. There's supposed to be a vote on this, but nonetheless, I do think it's going to be irrelevant. The reason I do, well, actually, it won't be if Portland loses tonight. Vegas would still be the playoffs. I stand corrected that. But anyway, the bottom line is, it's the whole thing is so tragic. I love so many of the guys on that team. I've met several. Aaron Garcia's a friend, Tanner Varner. I wish these guys nothing but the best and the fan base that they do have there. And I just hope they can find new ownership and get this thing fixed. And I really do. As far as this game tonight, these teams have played 2 very close football games that have been split by the road teams winning. Last game they played in Spokane, they stuffed Smith at the goal line on a kind of a silly play call, I thought, by Eddie Olsen at the end of the game to give Vegas the victory. In the previous game, Spokane won by 7 points. So this is going to be a very good game. It's an important game for seeding, however, even if the event that Portland loses this game tonight. It is a seeding situation because Spokane gets a win here, the game will still have meaning. They'll finish as a 3 seed, and the same thing could go to Vegas as finishing as a 3 seed, and that means avoiding the San Jose SaberCats. So there's a lot riding on this ball game. I just think Spokane is a more talented football team, though. I don't think Vegas has enough, even though they got Larry Beavers this week to help the receiving core. I think Spokane's got better personnel.
Let's think about this. Spokane, Seattle, bad play calling at the goal line. I wonder where that could have come from.
I wonder.
Yeah, something that happened in the No Fun League, I think.
Yeah, I think something like that. Oh, yeah, go Patriots.
Go on.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something.
I'm winging it over here, just so you know.
They've done so much the last couple years. I wouldn't be fair. And then Pete Carroll's already said this week, if you read the new issue of Sports Illustrated, he's ready to move on. So
I'm pretty sure everyone's ready to move on. It's a new season.
I'm not going to come on. It's over with. Move on, and it's history. A lot of teams wish they were the Super Bowl, like my Broncos. The Seahawks at least have been to the last 2 Super Bowls. They might get back there again.
My team has been there in 20 years, and they're going to LA next year. So let's move on.
Okay.
All right, let's move. Let's talk about the game right here.
Hey,
all-time season as all-time series 4-1 in favor of San Jose. I believe it's going to be 5-1 at the end of tonight.
Yeah, this is David versus Goliath, basically. I mean, LA trying to right the ship out, get to the offseason, of course, 11th in the rankings, 4-13. San Jose 16-1, but of course there is that one L though, courtesy of LA, in dramatic fashion, I guess, heartrending fashion. Maybe the only real highlight of the whole season, perhaps for the Kiss, the overtime touchdown by DeMarco Sampson after like a 30-minute replay. Yeah, let's just say San Jose move on, right?
Not necessarily. I think the Kiss will battle. I'm not going to bag on their efforts. I think they have played better the last few weeks, and I just wish we had this defense all season long. We would be in the playoffs. I mean, I think in fairness, they have done a good job in the last few weeks getting closer. But I do think that it'll be a close game for a long time. But I think eventually San Jose will get the necessary stop and win by maybe 10 points, something along those lines.
Really quick, one thing I want to say before we get to the picks. To play off your favorite table game over in Las Vegas there, Cal, roster roulette is what really killed the Kiss this year. 200 and what was it? 234. That's second to only New Orleans, who had 264 transactions.
Yeah,
and those transactions, by the way, are effective Friday. The average for the 8 playoff teams that are in right now, yeah. How about 171?
I mean, you know,
that's an average of about 32 different. That's an entire roster.
That is a lot.
That's an entire roster that LA has brought in and thrown back out.
You know, two things here. You know, for one, the roster roulette has been one deal, but also the 0-9 start doesn't help either. That you can't get off on the right foot, and dropping those games, by lopsided scores, by close game scores. Although I agree with Todd though. I mean LA has shown some improvement.
Oh, huge.
There may be a ray of hope or some light at the end of this tunnel that they're stuck in right now, perhaps for next season. But they really have done some strides. But I think, though, that the roster roulette, for one, it kills team chemistry because when you are constantly bringing players in, moving them out of town, you can't gel as a unit, which is a reason why I think that, not just the Kiss, but other teams in other sports crumple under pressure is you can't form that team chemistry when you're always bringing in new puzzle pieces that don't fit the puzzle.
Exactly. And, I mean, give me a break. Ever since June 7, when the current starting lineup became the norm, they went 4-5. That's half the season right there, obviously. Yeah. So if you do 4-5 the previous half, guess what? You're in the playoffs.
You're in the playoffs.
And it's not even close.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say one pump up before we get off the air tonight. This guy right here, Chris Davis, not to pump this guy's horn, there is no better man in this country with stats than Chris Davis. He's the Harvey Pollock of the old NBA of this league. This is one of the most talented individuals. This guy has come up with stuff that I can't even believe. That last stat, Chris, was a great creative thing you came up with. I give you a lot of credit.
Which one?
The transactions. I think that was really good. As far as things with the Kisses, let's hope that this team next season brings in some more personnel. They still need line help, offensive and defensive line help. I would still like to see them get another playmaker, and of course, they have to upgrade the quarterback position. Danny's a spot starter and maybe a backup, but we need a talent. We need a real strong quarterback.
All right, really quick before we get off the air here, let's go down the line. Tampa, Orlando. Who'd you pick?
I'll take the Preds.
I think Orlando will win, but it'll be close.
I'm actually taking Tampa on this one. Nolans and Jayville.
Jayville
in a romp.
My heart says New Orleans. My brain says Jayville.
You sound like me with a different sport.
Philly, Cleveland.
Soul.
Going with Cleveland tonight.
What? We're actually agreeing? Holy crap. Cleveland is my pick too.
Barometer for Cleveland to finish 99. I think they would at least like to get to 500. I think, they would like to be able to send a message to Philadelphia they can play with them, because the last time Philadelphia keep them separated, Philadelphia. Anyway, thank you. But anyway, I like Cleveland tonight.
I'm going Cleveland as well. Portland, Arizona.
Zona.
I'm going with Portland in a major upset.
That is a huge upset. I'm going Zona. Spokane, Vegas.
Give me Vegas.
I think Spokane's got too much for them. I really do.
I'm going Vegas.
Can't score points.
I'm going Vegas, just so everyone knows. And the only one that actually have the line on, San Jose, a 20-point favorite here at LA. 20. Oh, no way. Who's your pick?
San Jose.
San Jose, but I think the Kiss are a good pick for all of you out there, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I totally agree. I believe the Kiss will cover that spread, but straight up, it's San Jose. For Todd Mintz, Callum McClurg, I'm Chris Davis. Thanks for joining us here on the Season Ender. We'll talk to you hopefully next year.
We got to
So long,
keep
everybody.
separated.